Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to walk you through how to set up your page for this assignment. All right. Composition number 1, sketching grip. Try to follow along at the same scale as me. Horizontal line that goes across the page and is straight, Right hand side, lightly make a dot. Left hand side, lightly make a dot. It's like about an inch in from the side of the page. I'm making a vertical line towards the left hand side. Top of that vertical line connected back to the dot, and the bottom of that vertical line as well. And I'm doing the same thing on the other side. All right. Please don't use a ruler, because it just makes it so difficult for you to sketch lightly. I mean, if you can do both, then that's fantastic, but it's a good skill to practice making these lines that are so long and straight. And it's a skill you're working on, To the left of my vertical line, I will make another vertical line, and to the right of the vertical line, a little bit further away, I will do the same thing, another vertical line. In between these two vertical lines on the left, I will make another vertical line that goes above that diagonal going back to the dot. From the corner on the left to the top of that line, from the corner on the right to the top of that line, making a triangle on top. From the top of that triangle, making another diagonal line that goes all the way back to the dot on the right hand side. And then, like I mentioned in class, toughest line to get. You got this line right here, you're going to make a line that is parallel to that line right there, right? Like the number 11, parallel, they don't ever touch. To make it easier for me, I'm going to go back and get rid of some of these setup lines so that it's easier to see what I'm working on. Made a house, right? Or like some kind of building or structure. I think it looks sort of like one of the little red hotels in the Monopoly game. Something like that. Okay. Inside the house, I'm going to erase away some setup lines as well. All right, there we go. Now, I've got a horizon line and I've got a house in front of that horizon line, all right? Horizon line for you, just to remind you, all right, it's like when you go to the beach and you stand on the beach and you look out at the ocean, that line that separates the sky from the land, or from the sea, rather, is the horizon line. All right, it's always there. You just don't usually notice the horizon line because there's so many things in front of it, you don't ever really pay attention to it. But like go to the desert, you've seen such a thing. All right, where the land meets the sky, horizon line. These two little points here are called vanishing points. And if I draw a line diagonally and straight down towards the side of the piece of paper, I'm not going to the bottom, right? And then I draw another diagonal from that vanishing point going to the bottom of the piece of paper. All right. You can imagine this like a road, and down there, that vanishing point is where you can't see the road anymore. The road keeps going. It's not like the road stops, but you just can't see any of those things on the road because it's so far away. It's a vanishing point. All right. It's some math when it comes to the way that you see. Okay, over here on the right-hand side, I'm now going to draw a tall rectangle. I want you to pay attention to how I'm drawing it. Try to draw yours similar to mine. All right. When you look at this rectangle, let's erase out these setup lines. All right, create that feeling of overlap like we've got with the house. All right, it should look like this rectangle is in front of these three lines. because it overlaps them. It goes in front of them and you can't see them behind it. Over here, you should notice that it also looks like it's closer than the house. And the reason that it looks closer than the house, even though it doesn't overlap the house, is because it starts lower on the page. All right? When things start lower on the page, they seem closer. Higher on the page, further away. All right? So this rectangle is just a rectangle. I'm going to add some little shapes to my rectangle rather than geometric shapes. I'm going to add some organic shapes. All right, just these little curved angle shapes. Look sort of like branches of a tree. All right, and then down at the bottom, I can do the same thing. Little curved triangle kind of shapes added. Looks sort of like the roots of a tree. All right. So I've got some kind of like future tree shape over here. All right. Tree shape is in the foreground. It's the closest thing to my viewer. And then in the middle ground of this drawing, a little bit further away, are the road and the house. In the background, we've got those vanishing points in that horizon line. This is where you can't see stuff because it's so far away. Your mind perceives it as far away. It's far away. All right? It's in the background. But there's not a lot in the background of this composition, so I'm going to add an angled line to make it look sort of like mountains. Right? Notice that I overlap this mountain line with my tree shape. Right? So now because that line is higher, right? It starts higher on the page, our mind sees it as further away. Things that are lower are closer. Things that are higher are further away. All right? Even further away than the mountains, I can use overlap and I can draw in a cloud or two that go behind that mountain line. All right? All of this stuff that I have sketched in, I've sketched it in lightly. It's just the beginning of my drawing. I can go back, I can change anything that I want. All right? One thing we have to put into this assignment, and that makes this assignment an artwork rather than just a sketch in your sketchbook, is that we're going to make it a composition by adding a drawing frame around it. All right? So lightly, I'm sketching in a rectangle that goes all the way around my piece of paper. All right? When I'm planning out an artwork, I'm telling the world this is the final vision of what this thing is going to look like. And so I'm using this shape, this drawing frame, to tell my audience my artwork is inside the rectangle and not outside of the rectangle. All right? Now, when I'm sketching something, I'm just making stuff, I'm just practicing stuff. I don't need to go through that because I'm not necessarily going to share this with the world. Right? But in a composition, this is a finished thing, so you're going to be sharing it. It's like the difference between jamming on my guitar with other musicians and playing in a concert. This is the concert. All right? Now, it's nowhere near done. As a matter of fact, if I remind you of my normal Caillou to Harry Potter scale, super Caillou. There's no detail here yet. So I have yet to make it into an artwork, all right? But there's certain non-art information. There's art on the page, and then there's non-art stuff that I don't want messing up my composition. I'm going to place it outside of that drawing frame. And I always, in this class, and most pros, do it the same way. Lower left-hand corner underneath my drawing frame, directly underneath where it ends, I'm going to write a title. And I don't have a title for this yet, so I'll just put a little placeholder of untitled, and then I can write to myself, fix this. When I've finished my artwork, I'll go back and I'll change that into a title. All right? And then over here on the right, I've got two important pieces of non-art. I've got my name, first and last. And then I've got the date. And I'm just keeping this stuff sketched in as well, especially the date, because I'm not going to add the date when I begin the artwork. I'm going to add the date when I'm done with the artwork. That says I finished this artwork on this date. All right, this is your page setup for composition number 1.